Hey everyone, it's Wolfgang. I want to put this question to you. Why be a landlord? I've been a landlord for a couple decades now. It's not always easy. There better be a good reason for doing this. And there is. There's a ton of great reasons, and I want to walk you through them. Starting with, some people do not want the burden of owning their own place, having to cut the grass, call someone when something's broken, and pay them. The insurance hassle, the property tax hassle. Many people prefer being a renter because you make a single payment each month and that's it. You're done. You don't have to worry about anything unusual coming up. If anything breaks, you know what to do. You can call the property manager and get things taken care of. So a lot of people need landlords. A lot of people. I've got members of my family who prefer renting over owning. And to each his own. There are benefits to owning, obviously, but some people want to rent. So providing good housing is a contribution to the community because a lot of people out there really prefer renting. And if you're doing a good job as a landlord and providing decent housing, it's a real positive in the community. Okay, so some of the financial benefits. As you pay down the property loan, you build up equity. Your ownership share in the property increases over time. The tenants are paying, basically, for your equity to increase. We have a minimum holding period of 10 years in our properties. When we're thinking about buying a new rental property, we look at it, we decide to figure out, where's the neighborhood going over the next 10 years. If we can get positive answers to all those questions, we buy and we hold for at least 10 years. Preferably, we'd never really like to be in a position where we have to sell, because if you have to sell, you will find later, if you go back and check, the property went up in value and you missed out on wealth building. So you build up equity as the tenants pay down the mortgage. Okay, so because this is an investment sort of activity, right? It's like buying stocks and bonds, buying real estate. Rental property is an investing activity. You get a higher investment return because you're using leverage. If you buy your first property, you can put as little as 3% or 5% down. If you're a veteran and you're buying a property, a rental property, from 1 to 4 units, you can put 0 down and buy a rental property. So there's a lot of leverage with that. And what that means is, as the property goes up in value, as you collect rent, the return that you get, the cash that you get, is quite large compared to your original investment. This is leverage. This is a really good thing. So if you want to look more into that, I have a video where I describe a 23.5% rate of return over a decade, more than a decade. It was like 12 years. In a video, the video title is Turning $100,000 into $1,360,000. It's on my channel. 23.5% rate of return every year for over a decade with a very modest down payment. Leverage is a good thing. Okay, so another benefit of owning, tax write-offs. If you have a job and you have a regular income from your job, you write off the mortgage interest on the loan for the property. You write off all the expenses to own and operate the property. The cost of your insurance is deductible. Property tax that you pay on the property is deductible from your taxes. And this is probably the best one. This is a depreciation expense you get a tax deduction for, and you don't even have to take money out of your pocket to get it. It's just the way real estate has been historically, that you depreciate property over the years. And in our properties, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in depreciation every year that helps us to shield our income. So there's a lot of stuff going on here for tax deductions and benefits. So another benefit, this is really relevant in modern times because we've had pretty high inflation in the past few years. The money in your savings account declined because of inflation. The property doesn't. Real estate holds its value during inflation. It's a really good inflation hedge. So while you may have money invested in stocks and bonds and maybe the cash loses value, the real estate doesn't. So it's a great inflation hedge. And another benefit, your property value goes up over time. There are several factors that influence this. The type of property that you have, and in rental properties, there's Class A, which is top of the line, Class B, which is slightly older, Class C, which is like everything else. That plays into how much your property appreciates. But probably the most important thing that helps the value of your property increase is the rents. The value of rental property is based on the rents. It's different from owning a home. Owning a home, the value only goes up if your neighborhood does, because when a realtor sells a home, they compare it to what else has sold in your neighborhood, and your selling price gets set accordingly. That's not true with rental property. With rental property, as the rents go up, it increases the value of the property. So another factor that plays a role in the appreciation, what is the replacement cost to build the same number of units that you have? In other words, if you own a 50-unit building, you can find out what the rebuild cost is for new 50 units. And when someone's out shopping for rental property and they have to compare the up-to-date price of a 50-unit building to a 50 units that already exists, it's almost always a better idea to buy something that already exists and not build it from scratch, not build it from new. Another issue that affects the appreciation of your property is the location. You want to be really careful about the location of your rental property because it affects how much the property appreciates. It affects the sellability of it, how easy it is to sell when it's time to cash out. If you focus on neighborhoods that have a good employer base, lots of jobs, and good schools, and you can drive the neighborhood at night and it's a decent neighborhood, you're in good shape, generally. In Class A properties, the stipulations are a little bit different. In Class A properties, it's more of a premium, upscale community that people are expecting. But Class A properties appreciate very nicely. Okay, so another benefit of being a landlord, retirement options. This is a huge, huge deal. Stable retirement. Because if you think about it, if you work for an employer, at the end of your career, you have what? Pensions are pretty rare these days. You might have an IRA, you'll have Social Security, but if you have rental income in your retirement, that is a much more stable situation for retirement. Having the extra income that at least matches your Social Security income, and usually the rental income goes up over time. So as your retirement goes on, you're making more money from your rental properties. It's a very stable income source. And if you decide to cash out, if you decide to retire from everything, because the property appreciates, goes up every year, at the time you decide to sell, when you retire, it's worth quite a bit, generally. And the more property you have, obviously, the better. Okay, so another benefit to being a landlord, passive income. You can keep your regular job. I did this when I started. When I started investing in rental properties, I had a very busy career, and managing these properties, it was simple. You remodel a property so it's in great condition, and you rent to great tenants, and then you have all the free time during the week to work a regular job. So the passive income aspect of this is fantastic. Another thing you can do, you can hire a property management company to do the management of the property for you, and then there's even less involvement. Your only interaction is with the property manager when that comes up, and so you can sustain a normal career while you have this other stream of income. Okay, another benefit is being your own boss. At some point, you can do what we did. You can have enough rental properties that you no longer need to work a regular career. You've got a steady source of income that will sustain you and help you build your wealth. Rents go up over time, so your income is always increasing with rental properties. Being your own boss is a huge deal. It's a really big deal. When your rental income eventually pays all your bills, wow, it's a huge change in your daily life because you're no longer having to try to worry about satisfying an employer or having a boss and stuff. So another benefit is diversifying your wealth. Most of us have stocks and bonds as investments. Real estate, diversifying into real estate is fantastic. If the stock or the bond market or both go sideways, real estate is quite stable. It's a great diversification because it tends to retain its value. The rental income continues. If you buy dividend stocks and the stock market goes sideways, you may still get your dividends, but the value of your stocks will decline. The asset value of your stocks can drop. Not so with real estate. Rental property almost never declines in value. Every once in a while, you'll have a period like in 2008, 2009, but generally it's very stable. And So while being a landlord, not always easy, there are some issues that can come up. But in general, if you know what you're doing, if you don't get overextended, there's just so much benefit to owning and operating rental property. I feel that one of the most important is there are a lot of people who don't want to own. If you own your own home, you know what that's all about. There's a lot of responsibility to maintaining a home. And a lot of people just don't want to deal with that. So providing good housing to the public is a huge win for everybody. It helps you, but it helps the community, because a lot of people, especially early in their career, may be moving around. It's almost impossible to buy a place when you're early in your career, because you really don't know, am I going to have to change jobs? Am I going to have to relocate? And so you're really helping people by taking this on. And the economic benefits to you are massive. And the longer you stay in it, the more experience you get, the better you get at doing the work and knowing what to buy and how to manage them. And the more your wealth grows. Wealth can grow quite a bit as you own and operate rental properties. So I hope that inspires someone. Hope that inspires you. If you have any questions about any of this, I'd be happy to answer any questions, because we've experienced all this. Great benefits to being a landlord. I'd be willing to answer any questions. And I want to thank everyone for watching, and have a great day.